All right. Shoot.
Hey everyone, we are live on this wonderful Thursday. Thank you for joining us. We have Daniel Jacob Horine of PopFlyPopShop.com, and of course, the man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. 7-time All-Star, 2-time batting champ, Hall of Famer, greatest DH of all time, Mr. Edgar Martínez. Thank you for your time for us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Daniel, if you could show the print real quick. If you're new to Pop Shop, these are done every week. It is a comic book style cover. Mr. Martinez, sometimes these covers are very traditional baseball, and sometimes this is what we get. What was your reaction when you saw this?
Well, this is different from what I'm used to seeing, in cards or any other publication. So this is very different, and I think it's pretty cool. And I think the fans are going to enjoy it, just getting one of these covers.
Were you interested at all as a kid, Edgar, in comic books or superhero narratives, anything like that?
I was, and when I was a kid, I was all outside kind of kid, just playing every sport that I could play, and with other kids. So I never, I mean, I got, when I was a teenager, got into video games a little bit, but not into comic books. So, but it's fun to be part of it.
Daniel and I read comics, which is why we didn't hit like 350 in any baseball season. Hey, everyone who's watching too, this will be a shorter one, so get your questions in right now. The best question will get a little giveaway from PopFly at the end. Mr. Martinez, I love that obviously when Daniel chooses a player, sometimes it's a hard decision on what team to pick. Like Vladimir Guerrero, it was Expo or an Angel. With you, obviously, you are Mr. Mariner. How important is that to you that you are the face of that wonderful franchise?
Yeah, it's great. I've been here since '87 was the first year that I got called up, but I started playing with the organization in 1982. And at that time, I never heard of the Mariners before. So growing up in Puerto Rico, it was all about the Pirates, Yankees, Mets, and I didn't know much about the organization. But looking back, I'm glad that I was part of the organization, and I seen the organization grown over the years, and it is important. It is important for me. I became part of this community here in Seattle, and
Yeah.
I'd like to see the team one day win the World Series. So it's great.
Yeah, you were part of two different juggernaut Mariners teams. And by the way, I grew up an Angel fan, and so you put me to bed crying several times. You have the A-Rod Griffey Buhner team, and then you have the Ichiro Sasaki and the Boone team. Do you have a more favorite era for Mariners baseball for you?
That's a tough one because two different eras, like you mentioned, but always the first playoff is never more fun than that one. 95, nobody expects us to be in the playoff. And in September, August, mid-August, we were like 13 games back. So I think I have to say that was more fun because it was the first time that we got into the playoff.
Yeah, I had to turn back my Angels playoff tickets that year. Daniel put out a wonderful quote when he put this print out about your double that has gotten credited for saving the Mariners as a franchise. What do you feel when you hear people talk about that double?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that 1995 has been so long, and people are still there's people that always ask me about that day, what I think about being able to hit the double and what it meant to the city. Um, and it means a lot because now I look back and talking to many people that remind me about it and what it meant to them. I think that's why it means a lot. It's because people have memories that last decades.
Hmm.
And, usually what they tell me is like, I remember I was with my kids or my brother, or they were watching with someone that they love, and
Hmm.
they have memories, and that's what.
We're here live with Edgar Martínez, Hall of Famer, and Daniel Jacob Horine. There's been an incredible print done. It's available on popflypopshop.com. It is available until this Sunday only. There's a wonderful comic book style cover. Mr. Martinez, I love that it was a double because, I mean, you had pop. You hit over 300 home runs. But when I think of you as a high average doubles machine. If you were a modern day baseball player and just said, I don't care about my average, I don't care about my strikeouts, I'm just going to swing for the fences, how many home runs do you think you would hit?
I think one year I hit 37, but I mean, for the rest of my career, I was always under 27. I was under 30. I was always between 18 and 29, but only one time I hit 37. So it wasn't my game. I thought that I was better hitter using the whole field and, hitting for high average, and I'm getting on base. And I think that I was more productive that way.
I wish you would be playing today with no one would do the shift on you. You would destroy that shift, right?
Oh, that shift, I would have played Pepper with that shift.
Does it drive you crazy in seeing guys not do that?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I coached for, 2.5 years, and it was tough to watch. And it's still, sometimes I watch it on TV. It's like, come on, look at how wide open. They're giving you a hit.
Yeah. Well, we're here with Hall of Famer Edgar Martinez. We have him for a couple more minutes. Get that question in. Daniel will find. The talk for a long time while you were retired it was, a DH will never get into the Hall of Fame. And then, hey, Edgar's eligible and he's in. What was it like for you to hear people talk that way about about your career? And closers kind of have that same undervalued narrative, right?
Yeah, I always thought that it was very interesting how we have closers, we have that get into the Hall of Fame, and the DH is a player. I mean, played daily in the lineup, and but I knew one thing, that I didn't have any control of that, what will happen, and I think realizing that I didn't have any control, it kind of helped me just to not worried about it, and at the same time, I kind of just sit and watch people arguing about it. So, but I think that helped me a lot. That in the game, the analytics, they all those numbers now that they look up to, like on base percentage,
Yeah.
log in, all that. It helped my chances to get into the Hall of Fame in the last, in the last 5 years of my, while I was waiting for it.
Well, you're the best. Again, as an Angel fan, I would be praying they would walk you and just hopefully they take you out of the game for a runner. I hated seeing you come up to bat because I knew you were going to hit the ball hard somewhere, no matter what. Daniel, have you found a question to ask this Hall of Famer on this Thursday?
Sure. To tie baseball and comics together, here's an interesting question from James. He asked you, Edgar, who was your baseball supervillain?
Supervillain. I don't know if I have one. I can I know when I play, I got hit by some pitchers. You have to be a pitcher somewhere.
Not Lou Piniella? Okay.
Lou was he was very passionate, but he's a great guy.
Well, Edgar Martinez, I admire your dedication to the city of Seattle. It's great when a franchise has a face like you to hang their pride in. Thank you for your career and for taking your time with us today. Any last word for your fans on this Thursday?
Well, we're in the playoffs. It's going to be kind of interesting next few days and see who get into the World Series. So enjoy the playoff, and thank you for spending time with me here.
Thank you, Edgar Martinez. Daniel, are you able to stick around for a little bit?
I can think of it.
Hall of Famer, greatest DH of all time, Angel Killer, Edgar Martinez. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Edgar.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Man, he was one of those guys where I wanted to hate, but I couldn't. Just I respected those line drives so much.
Totally.
Well, Daniel, let's show your print one more time. And for those maybe Edgar Martinez fans who are new to Pop Fly Pop Shop, what this is a weekly comic book style cover. It's not a comic, but it's only available for 1 week, and then it's retired forever. Yep. So you're going to have to go to popflypopshop.com, and it's available until this Sunday. There is an autograph option, which, hey, when the Hall of Famer is willing to sign something, always say yes to that. It's in the drop-down menu. Daniel, why don't you walk us through how did you land on choosing Edgar, and you want to flesh out some of the story that you're telling in this cover?
Sure. You pointed out all the reasons in chatting with Edgar, just the best at what he did, and kind of now we are realizing that, with the Hall of Fame, we've got him in as a DH, and as I was thinking about this piece, what to do here. Some nicknames are really they kind of paint the picture for you. You think back to Ellis Valentine, the Human Howitzer, and Lenny Dykstra, Nails. You've got a place to go. But with Edgar, with the nickname Gar, it's not a super visual. It doesn't lend itself immediately to a visual. So as I thought about it more and more, I was kind of marinating on it, and thought, okay, Gar sounds almost like primordial and like a very simple name from the dawn of time. So that got me thinking about a comic book series called Tor, not Thor, but Tor, that featured a caveman and doing his prehistoric adventures. And so that was the first place I went with. And then there's the definite Mariners connection, the Submariner connection here. And there's he's certainly in here as well. But Tor was the first thing I thought of. And as I kind of dug into it, and again, thinking, a lot of this project is just thinking. I started thinking about the designated hitter. And what that means. I thought about what that means to baseball, and I really broke down the words like designated hitter. Like his role is to demolish, to hit. Boy, that's and so that's really what I leaned into. I wanted a very powerful image here that just leaned into his strength. So he's all muscles. Ready to strike, and he's got that very large club there. Just doing what he does he's designated to hit. And I wanted a lot of power in this image as well. And so to help enhance that power, and also to tie it in with the Mariners, like you mentioned, Mr. Mariner, career Mariner, had that powerful ocean behind him. He's got the trident that's a reference to the old Mariners logo from way back in the hand there. So it's part Submariners, part Aquaman, part Tor, and all Edgar Martinez there.
Yeah, I was reflecting on when you depicted Dawson,
Mm-hmm.
and he seemed really broken up that the Expos were no more,
Mm-hmm.
and that could have been the Mariners, like that easily, if that fan base didn't have that success, which was highly attributed rightfully to Edgar Martinez. So it's just crazy how one team could just turn direction so easily.
Totally. And it's interesting too, like how much that double means to Mariners fans. And like, if you mention the double to a Braves fan or to a Red Sox fan, I don't know if anything's going to resonate. But if you mention the double, capital T, capital D, the double, to a Mariners fan, they go right back to this moment, two and a half decades ago.
Yeah, well, again, we are here live with Daniel Jacob Horine. This is his Edgar Martinez depiction, and I mentioned it to him in a joking way, but it's true that like we never know what we're going to get from you. It could be a very traditional, almost baseball card style cover, or we can have something like this. So how, like, did you start out with Edgar like batting, and then somehow you chucked it and went to this, or when do you decide that process, what direction you're going in?
Early on, I went two different directions, and I showed Edgar a direction very similar to this, and I did a very classic baseball pose. And Edgar mentioned, he's like, I usually don't see these kind of things. I don't see in all the releases, so I know that there's a risk. There's a risk in things like this. You're as a player being featured, as an artist myself, doing a baseball cover that has no baseball in it. It's risky, and so I oftentimes will pose to give the player a way out. They not necessarily have to take that risk, and I like to leave it to them to choose how they like to be depicted. And so this was my favorite direction. I like doing these sorts of things a lot more. I like taking these chances, but giving it to Edgar, I had a very classic baseball one, and I had this, and I didn't tip the scales in any way, but I certainly was hoping that he would choose this one, because I think to me it's more interesting. It just tells a different story that we're not used to seeing. So. And to my joy, he chose this one. So really glad to have him take that chance with me.
Well, again, these are available until Sunday. Popflypopshop.com. There is an option to add his signature to it. I'm gonna put this right in between Randy Johnson and Ichiro, where again you have this two different powerhouse Mariners teams, and all along you have this like steady presence of Edgar Martinez throughout both of those just incredible teams. Mm-hmm. I'd love to maybe throw out a question for any of the listeners to pipe in on the chat. I think Edgar Martinez naturally brings up the conversation of the DH. Mm-hmm. For a long time, you had this NL fans kind of mocked it as it was sort of this gimmick. And now it looks like the NL is close to adopting the DH, and it might even happen next year, which, if we think about it, this could be the last playoffs where we don't have the DH. What are your opinions on that? And everyone watching, throw in your opinions. DH in the NL, yes or no?
I personally, this is not a hill I'm going to die on. I know other folks, it will be their hill to die on. For me, it drives me crazy when it's mixed. I don't care for an NL AL mashup, and with one has it and one doesn't. I prefer having no DH. I like the bind that it puts you in, that you have to sort of strategize your way out of, and that to me that's interesting. If you're It kind of depends on how you're watching a game. I think if you're just kind of casually watching the game, it's more exciting to not have a pitcher go up there. And you want an Edgar Martinez up there that's gonna get the ball and off the back wall. I think, but I think when you're looking at it from a strategy standpoint and just sort of watching the chess moves,
Yeah.
I love the bind. I love the bind that it puts you in, and the, even in art, I as I think about it, some of my favorite parts of just doing art in general, not necessarily just this project, but art in general, is the limitations that you might have. Maybe it's a client's limitations or limitations on the media that you're working with, that you have to find a creative solution to get out of, and using those limitations to push you forward rather than hold you back, and find creative solutions out. So for my 2 cents, I am a fan of no DH, but if they would just pick one or the other, I would be happy.
No, you're right about those tensions. I was the Braves-Dodger game a couple days ago. Great example. The Dodgers took the lead 2-0 in the first, and the Braves, they either tied it, or I think they were up 3-2, and they got the bases loaded with one out, and Charlie Morton is coming up to bat, and he looked like he found it as a pitcher. So you think about the Braves manager, he has 8 seconds to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Do I take him out, and is this our best chance to score, or do I need to squeeze a couple more outs out of this guy? And it looks like what they told him to do was to strike out without swinging, to not risk the double play, and then have to take it out. But we're going to lose that. Like, we're not going to have those decisions that have to be made.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Are we getting any comments? What are other people saying here?
Let's see. Well, we got a couple other comments not related to this that we might want to go back to, but let's see. We've got Mars says NL should pick up the DH, Two Strike Noise, which had awesome podcast, by the way. Please check them out. Universal DH is their opinion. Universal anything is my opinion.
Well, the people have spoken.
Okay, we got George is saying not to have the NLDH. So yeah, but for the moment, let's see. We got one more here. Richard saying DH and AL pitchers hitting NL. They should get rid of interleague play too until the World Series. I also agree with that as well. I do not. I liked it so much more when, like, these teams are facing each other for the first time this year. But
yeah, I think where we lose some of the art and tradition of baseball is it is a business, and players like Nelson Cruz, he's going to get paid to continue DHing, and he would not get paid that much on the bench. And the pitchers are paid to pitch; they're not paid to hit. And so I think the players would definitely rally behind a universal DH, because it's going to add another roster spot who's making a lot of money. And for most fans, it's not exciting to see a pitcher strike out and foul a bunt off in the 4th inning. They want to see Edgar Martínez come up to bat and hit chicks dig the long ball, right? And
100%. 1990 anything version of myself would be all over that.
Yes. What were some of the other things brought up that you wanted to circle back to?
Okay, speaking of Two Strike Noise with the awesome podcast, they asked if there was any player that I've already put out that I would like to do a second version of. Definitely, I've done 2 Dale Murphys. I do not hide my Dale Murphy fandom.
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic Dale Murphy fan here. So I've done two of him already. Hank Aaron's another one that I've done 2 of as well. And there certainly are more that I'm thinking of as well that I'd like to. I think there's more story to tell, more interesting pictures to draw, and I think like baseball, it's a long history full of interesting characters and stories. And I think even if you drilled into one player, you can probably fill a whole pot fly season worth of telling the story of one player. So there's definitely other players that I'm kind of mulling over doing a second pass on to tell a different story.
You can
tell you who they are, but
you could do a whole season on Ricky Henderson, just every team he's been on.
It's true. I always my go-to on this is I'm going to do a series long career retrospective on Rob Wilfong.
Mm-hmm.
A former Angel and Twin, but But yeah, it's a lot of stories to draw from. And someone else asks if I have done Jose Canseco yet. No. And Two Strike Noise again is saying more Ricky. They like your idea.
Okay, I didn't clear this question with you, but we'll see if you take a stab at it. It feels like you have avoided the steroid associated players. Has that been intentional, unintentional?
This project started very accidentally. And in the beginning of the project, I didn't know what to do with this project, and where to take it. You know, my first two, Will Clark and Hank Aaron, were very kind of classic baseball. With Lenny Dykstra, with Nails, I leaned a lot more into the comic book side of things, and that was me sort of finding the feet of this project, and sort of where I am right now, as I've gone through for a little over a year, doing this. What I really like to do, you know, there are those moments that are, for lack of a better word, kind of tainted in controversy. For better, for worse, for right or wrong, they have controversy attached to them. I've kind of gotten into my love of baseball, like so much more doing this, and what I really want to do is like elevate baseball more so, and be less about doing a baseball version of a political cartoon. But I want to lean into what I love about baseball, and those moments that elevate it.
Yeah, well, that's why we all resonate with this project. Edgar Martínez is obviously a name that most of us know, but I'll be blunt. Until last week, I had not thought about him in probably years, and all of a sudden now I'm remembering those times where he really did crush 12-year-old Evan. And remembering that swing and watching YouTube highlights where your project reminds us of the stories of our past, and our stories always have hurts and pains and joys, and that's what baseball is, right?
Yeah, it's true, and I don't shy away from those moments too, painful moments, but that's also part of baseball as well. So it's joy and pain and elation and disappointment, you know, and there are heroes and there are villains, you know. That's part of it.
Well, once again, on popflypopshot.com, if you want to, can you show the cover one more time? This is Edgar Martínez, Gar. This is available only until Sunday. Autograph option available. Be sure to add that on there. LA kid, Braves fan, any thoughts about today? What are you feeling?
Well,
oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, it's complicated. I love the Braves. The Dodgers will always be my hometown heroes. My first exposure to baseball with my father was Dodgers, and so I always have a soft spot in my heart for the Dodgers. But I'm definitely pulling for the Braves tonight, and I hope they take it.
You have that weird. One of the announcers said it, which he got criticized as being a homer for the Dodgers, but I thought it was a pretty good statement. It was before yesterday. He said it feels like the Dodgers were up 1-2 in the series, and I just think that those shadows of last year, like if the Dodgers win today, you could argue, yeah, they're up 2-3, going back to Atlanta. And then you got Scherzer and Buehler, which they look tired, but you never know. They're still their names. I think the Braves got to just step on the throat tonight and end the series and prepare for the World Series.
Yeah. They got to play like they're down, down 3 games here, and really pull it out. The Dodgers are just, until the final out of the 9th inning, the Dodgers cannot be counted out. I know some fans think so. As you see the parking lot in the 7th inning, but you cannot count the Dodgers out until the last out.
I like the Braves. They have that scrappy feel. I like we lost Okuna, we lost Azuna, no problem. We're just going to add some some random players from other teams and cohesively come together. And whenever you have a team like that going against a large market team, I always gravitate towards the scrappy underdog. And so that's where I like to see it go. What about the other series? You got the first 3 games. It looked like the Astros were just overmatched and 3 grand slams. And now all of a sudden they have that series ready to finish.
Yeah, baseball is such a weird game. Just how that works out, and I'm pulling for the Red Sox, but definitely pulling for the Red Sox, but the Astros look tough to beat right now.
All right, well, we're hearing Red Sox, Braves. Maybe that's what it will be. I do have to ask and close with any hints on what is next for Pop Fly Pop Shop.
No. But I do like to zig when folks are expecting a zag. Just thinking about Halloween's coming up. Maybe I can do something with that. But see.
That's very abstract. I have no idea. You gave a hint. I missed it. But I will sit with everyone else and be excited on Sunday to see what is new that is going on. Speaking of Sunday, PopFlyPopShot.com, last day to grab Hall of Famer Edgar Martínez. Martinez, greatest DH of all time, doubles machine, savior of Seattle. My, oh my. Get it? Only available till Sunday. Don't pay the eBay prices post this week. Daniel, thank you for your art and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Evan. And one more thing to point out, My Oh My is a great song by Macklemore. About the double, about Edgar Hernandez and his double. So check out My Oh My by Macklemore.
Macklemore, the rapper guy?
That's the one. He's from Seattle.
Okay, because there's a Mariner Macklemore. I wonder if he was named after him.
I don't know.
See, we didn't even get into that. I assumed it was Dave, the greatest radio broadcaster of all time, Dave with Seattle. I assumed it was something with him.
Well, it comes from the call, like the broadcast call, like My Oh My. I forget the exact quote, but My Oh My, the Mariners have won it. But so the Macklemore song comes from, or the Macklemore title comes from that call.
Look at that! I know the singer from Death Cab has a reference as well to Dave in his Ichiro song. There we go. Yes. Good job. And check out Two Strike Noise podcast. Unlike me, they actually know what they are talking about. Thank you for joining us today. Watch some baseball. Enjoy some non-DH playoffs for maybe the last time. Go to popflypopshot.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.